So hi and welcome to this video where I'll basically be showing you how to deep clean rubber car mats, and basically it's a really quick process. As you can see, I'm going to demonstrate it on these car mats that are quite filthy really. There's a lot of mud there, they've not been cleaned for about 6 months really, so definitely in need of kind of a deep clean. So it's a relatively easy process to do, you won't need that many tools, and basically what you're just going to start with by doing is just giving the mats a thorough kind of shake down to remove any of this loose dirt. This is going to really help before you actually rinse them down to get rid of anything that's loose on there, any of that dust or grit that you might have collected. Then what you're just going to go ahead and do is just rinse them down. So I'm actually using a pressure washer to do this. I find it's more effective, but if you don't have that, if you just have a hose, then try and use sort of high pressure to do it, and you're just going to remove as much of that dirt. It's going to make it a little bit easier when it comes to actually cleaning them, if you've got a lot of the dirt off there just by rinsing them beforehand. So just kind of using the pressure washer to get into all these little corners, just to get kind of power wash as much of that off as possible. So the next step is to actually go ahead and apply an all-purpose cleaner. So what I'm using here is called Bilt Hamber's Surfex HD, and I'm using that at around 10% concentration, which is quite high as I do need quite a lot of degreasing. So you can use any all-purpose cleaner, dilute to whatever ratio you want, any will work really. So then all you really need to do is go ahead and actually give the mats a good scrub down, preferably with a hard bristle brush. I find that this is more effective than kind of softer bristles to kind of really get a lot of that bulk dirt off there and give them a really good scrub down. Then once you've done that, you can just give it another rinse and just really assess kind of how much dirt's actually left on there. So here you can see it has removed quite a lot of it and sort of restored the look of them and made them a lot cleaner, but there is a little bit of dirt still left on there. So all I'm going to do now is basically apply that Surfex HD all-purpose cleaner again, and then basically work that in with a softer brush that's just going to allow me to kind of get into the corners a little bit more. There was sort of a little bit areas where, where there was that kind of detailing in the mat where basically that harder brush just couldn't reach, so using a softer brush will help. So I am using a detailing brush to do this, but really anything you have will work. If you've got a paintbrush, then that'll work as well. Just make sure you're kind of using something that's clean and been checked, so you don't want any kind of grit in there. Just make sure it's thoroughly cleaned, and paintbrush will work really well as well. And just kind of use it to get into those corners of the mat. You really want to kind of give it a deep clean. Obviously a lot of these rubber car mats do have a lot of detailing in, so you can kind of use these softer brushes to really get into those areas. Then once you've gone ahead and given them a good scrub, you can just go ahead and rinse them down, and then you kind of see that a lot of that dirt's gone. They should be pretty squeaky clean by now and should be ready to kind of proceed with the next step. So if you really want to kind of restore the black look, then you can apply a dressing to your mats. You've really got to be kind of careful with what dressing you use. You need to use something that's not slippy, something that's preferably designed for actually use on car mats. Obviously you've got to make sure that it's not slippy or tacky, because that's where you're putting your feet, and it's going to be very, very dangerous if you're kind of getting any sort of greasy residue on your shoes where you drive, and you could end up slipping on the pedals, and it's just really dangerous. So make sure you're using something that's going to have a matte effect if you do want to go ahead and apply a dressing. Of course it is optional, you don't have to do this, they're going to look pretty good anyway. But here I'm just using a really cheap one, so this is something that I've just basically picked up from the pound store. I'm not particularly picky on the products that I use on mats, so this is basically, it's a tyre dressing, but it's a matte effect tyre dressing, so that's where it's not got any of the risk of kind of causing slippage. So it's a foam one where basically all you do is when the mats are wet, you just spray it on and then give it a good scrub and then just rinse it down. So it's really easy to use. It kind of restores that black look without kind of adding any residue, and they don't feel slippy afterwards either. So basically all you have to do then is just go ahead and dry the mats. Obviously you can leave them to air dry, but you could get potentially a little bit of water spotting, so find that you get a better look and better effect if you just go ahead and dry them, preferably with a microfiber towel. Of course you can use a terry cloth or other kind of towels, it doesn't really matter what you're going to use on your mats. They're not particularly, you don't have to use anything that's quite safe would use on the paintwork, so I find microfiber works well though. So here you can actually see the transformation. Of course quite dirty to start with, and now I've kind of restored that black look and they're looking pretty good. So If you do kind of enjoy videos like this, then definitely be sure to hit the subscribe button, as I am making weekly detailing videos that can show you different techniques on how to kind of restore different areas of your car. So thanks very much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Like if you have, comment down below if you've got any questions, and subscribe for weekly detailing videos, and I'll see you next time.